After watching a lot of Mark Pacho's material and thinking about it over a couple months, I think he's a cult-like character. Also, his tendency towards insulting anyone who disagrees with him is not just disturbing, it's creepy as fuck. Money is fake. It's a religion. Well, have you read any economics, Mark? Hell fucking no, you haven't. I think the dude went a little nuts from his being in a satanic cult that he thinks that Satanists run the show. However, his conception of the power structure is incapable of explaining the fighting between the states and within them. If you don't subscribe to my views about God, you're a nihilist. Also, he has said that fractal shapes you see on acid is some entities or some shit. Yeah, triangles on paper are sentient too.
You've not understood Pacho's material. Don't say you do. The types of criticisms you're making nakedly reveal that you've not studied his work as much as you're suggesting. He always says listen to the podcasts in order, starting from number 1. What comes later is built upon foundational knowledge. Have you done this? You absolutely have not. As one who has, I can tell without question that you have not. No problem there. Do as you will, but you're ill-equipped to form an opinion and outright irresponsible for making it public. No hard feelings, but please go do the work or desist from speaking on the matter. It's the right thing to do.
Your response is not a concrete criticism of my claims. It's just, you haven't read the Bible enough, my son. Read it again, and you'll believe. By the way, those podcasts have terrible quality. Telling me to listen to some cultish dude for days and days while it's also in terrible quality? I have better use of my time. Mind you, Pacho talks about return on your time investment. If the return on my investment is I become an angry and poor lunatic who likes being called a patriot, then fuck that investment.
The podcast quality gets better as you move along. But that's rather beside the point if you understand the value of the information. Here, by considering ROI in terms of becoming an angry and poor lunatic, you've revealed key aspects of your perspective. Comfort, or experiencing conditions that easily promote feelings of happiness, is being valued higher than true knowledge and understanding. Do you prefer information that makes it easy for you to be happy, rather than knowing the truth? Would you want to know your accountant is ripping you off, even if that upsets you? Concerns over being poor shows that you're hooked into a notion of success that's defined by material wealth, a culturally indoctrinated and petty concern relative to true understanding. As to lunatic, this is claiming the man's thoughts are out of alignment with reality, which is to say that he speaks falsely. This assertion would require more evidence, as a sane man in an insane world would appear crazy, but would not truly be so. And of course, the ad hominem nature of your critique shows that you place undue import upon the messenger, as opposed to concerning yourself with the message. If you're satisfied with that perspective, that's fine. But again, refrain from making public commentary about things you don't understand well enough to offer an informed opinion. I have listened to all of his podcasts, and I could not find a single logical fallacy or a single instance of unfounded assertion. He offers some opinions, but always differentiates between what he knows and what he believes, and always explains how he came to his conclusions.
Mind you, I agree with a lot of his material.
I will address directly your claims. Saying he's a cult-like character is insufficiently precise. I don't know what this means or how it's relevant to his value as a teacher, being insulting toward those who disagree with non-aggression or who remain willfully ignorant is appropriate, to my mind, but is merely a character trait and is irrelevant to the quality of the information he provides. Saying money is a religion does not demonstrate a lack of economic understanding. Economics is how money works. It does not reveal what money is. The fact that he was in a satanic cult and broke out of it does not obviate the possibility that Satanists run the world. In fact, it puts him in a better position to see that potential fact clearly, if it be true. His description of the power structure absolutely explains why fighting between states exists. Conflict is core to the mentality of the powermonger. There is great economic opportunity in war. War can be a blood ritual or a device for culling populations, etc., etc., etc. Nihilism is what it is, and would not be consistent with his views about God and the nature and origin of things experienced within hallucinogenic states is anyone's guess. So to assume his suggestion is false is just as unfounded as assuming they're true. What does it mean to say money is a religion? How does he define religion? How do you define it?
He defines it as a belief in something fake in a negative sense, something that holds back from the truth.
Okay, so does money have intrinsic value? Can you eat it, wear it, etc.? No. So in this sense, it is only a symbol. It does not have real value. And yet all the world worships money. All their thought is bent upon it. Most of their action is motivated by it. They herald it as their savior and highest goal. They are meager servants to it. This is a distraction from truth, thus holding one back from the true knowledge and understanding that would permit their fullest authentic expression.
Nothing has intrinsic value. Not even this computer I'm using to type. And if you studied economics, you would know that.
Okay, yes, but relatively speaking, is there anything intrinsic to it that we value?
Value is subjective, but there are characteristics to this computer that I value. Guess what? Same with money.
We do not value money. We value what it can buy. Green paper is not valued at all.
Are you trying to say money is a rational construct? At this rate, language can be dubbed religion.
Money equals green paper?
It being a rational construct is not what makes it a religion. People's behavior surrounding it is the relevant issue.
And we do value money.
At that point, I feel you're widening the net of religion so wide you'll catch all sorts of behaviors, but I don't want to trip up the conversation.
If I give you a pile of money from a now defunct institution, would you value that gift? Of course not. It's only what money can buy that is valued, not the money itself. However, a coat is valued for what it provides directly. Name any aspect of religion and see if it applies to money. Now, the statement money is a religion can be interpreted as metaphor if you take issue with the fact that there's no supernatural component to the belief. The point still stands. If you want to say that heroin usage is a religion, it would carry the same validity in this context.
There's really no liturgy surrounding money. There's no temple to money. There's no creation myth. I think calling something a religion to somehow criticize it is just a vestige of Hitchens-style polemics. If it is a religion, so what? Where does this get us in terms of understanding money?
Well, he defines religion as that which holds one back from truth and therefore progress toward the most authentic expression of the being. So that's the so what. But yes, there is a bit of metaphoric extrapolation in the statement. Temples and creation myths are not required for something to be a religion. Liturgy as ritual is present, however, as people's whole lives are pretty much a mass service to money. The daily grind, as it were, is merely that. The overwhelming majority perform this in service to money in an attempt to garner its blessing.
Well, I'd reject the first premise. As you can clearly see, I have the religious role. I think that gets more into epistemology, or what Mr. Alan Watts is trying to get at as true or untrue.
Tilling a field is not the same thing as filing papers so you can buy stuff. The former is directly related to the goal. The latter is an indirect route to the goal. Religion is differentiated from true spirituality in Paciau's definition, and I think there's sound basis for that.
You'll have to forgive me as I mostly read in Enlightenment-era stuff. I certainly consider myself religious, but I reject the claims of a spiritual substance. For me, the soul is just the sum total of our experiences and imaginations. Religion is cited as an indirect method toward the related matter, be it spiritual or not. That's the key concept that links it to money. Wear this hat, say these words, come to this place, eat these foods on these days, all indirect means toward connecting with what's being sought. Money works the same way. Sell these cookies so you can get this paper so you can convince someone to give you a hat. Selling cookies is not making a hat. Right, I see what you're saying. I think this a valid position to hold.
Even if only metaphorical, I think the point stands. Metaphor isn't true or false, it's intended to make a point, and I agree that the point is made by that statement, regardless of the particular.
I agree that it is. There's definitely a very important thing being got at, that it is culturally similar in many respects, independent of the theology or economics at play.
Cool. I can see how some find Paciau appalling, but I think it's imprudent to allow his style to divert attention away from his message. He's angry and frustrated, though with good cause, if anything may be cited as good cause for that. Some allowances should be made.
Money is defined by what it does, not what it looks like. Cattle used to be money, as well as grain. And bitch, I ain't accepting cows as a medium of exchange.
Okay, but money doesn't actually do anything. You hand it to someone, and they usually will give you something in return, but they could just as easily not do that. A coat warms, food fills the belly. Nothing can stop that from happening.
Barter economy evolving into currency is unfortunately shaky grounds. It's completely a priori. One can dispute this sort of evolution happened at all.
Money acts as a medium of exchange, so it definitely does something. The physical manifestation of this medium can be different.
I get why people say, hey, money is just a means of exchange. Yes, in a lovely world, that's what it is, but it's indirect. One can even say false. Nature makes it susceptible to the evil machinations of the unscrupulous.
Let me try to sort this out, if I may. I would propose that objects can hold two forms of reality. 1. Formal reality is the reality that something has by virtue of being what it is. 2. Objective reality is the reality something has by virtue of representing what it represents to us. I think Blackwell is pointing out currency holds far more objective reality than formal, whereas food or clothing has more formal. All value is subjective, and I may value food for something else than satisfying hunger. You mean to say all value is objective, in that it has object but no form. Of course, I agree that food has a physical characteristic of satisfying hunger, providing nutrition, if to be more precise.
If you want to criticize fiat currency, no problem here.
This distinction is important because it's that indirect nature that provides fertile ground for the trouble.
I am in agreement. One will notice things with more objective reality are cause for trouble. Looking at politics here.
We value money because we can use money to get other valuable things. But what for do we value a computer, for example?
More important than all this is the point that Pacio is actually making, which is not so much about the nature of money, but rather its current usage or effect in society.
I agree that money should not be put above all else. That's a valid point.
Its nature is relevant because it allows for the problems we see.
No.
It's also foundationally important for Mr. Alan Watts's argument, if I had to guess.
It's like saying that food allows psychopaths to sustain themselves. So food is to blame. Money is a tool.
No, that's not true, because we've already established one is objective, the other formal.
And I distinctly remember Pacio's point about tools.
We're distinguishing between the subjects in a metaphysical way and building from there. To be precise, I should say subjects.
Well, it's more that money, being indirect, obfuscates the truth of the matter and makes it a useful tool for tyrants and immoral opportunists. Allowing ourselves to get lost in the illusion is similar to how religion is often handled, getting stuck on the bus instead of getting off at the destination.
Oh, I'm just paying taxes. And then the sheeple can say that they're not responsible for allowing mass murder, if that's what you mean.
That's a good example.
Then I agree.
I did not think of that. Cool. Well, you watch AMP's channel, so I knew we couldn't be that far apart.
But still, everything except one thing is indirect, actually, even knowledge itself.
That's very true, and there's a lot of problems surrounding that as well.
Only happiness is valuable by itself.
That's what we call a spicy knowledge claim. I would harshly disagree happiness has form at all.
What do you mean by form?
It isn't physical, it's a feeling.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, so it has no form. Tables have form, bodies have form, happiness is an idea, etc.
It's a distinct state of mind, but it's not physical.
Happiness, an improved emotional state, is born of authentic expression of the being. So I guess we can say it's a circumstance, an experience.
That's also possible, depending on the framework, yes. I would agree you can experience happiness.
Experience, circumstance, state of mind. To me, that's all the same.
Yes.
Well, you might want to be aware of these different categories, lest someone tries to pull a fast one.
It all gets rather muddy on that front, as we have no access to objective reality, but by subjective means, and life could just be a dream, and yada yada.
Because then anyone could come along and say they experienced visions or dreams, and that this is therefore the same as reality.
It's the reality of an experience, but that need not have relevance to anyone else, but as a curiosity.
In a way, hallucinations and delusions are real. You just need to understand the context in which they are part of reality. Reality is that which exists, and hallucinations exist. Therefore, they are part of reality.
Yeah, subjective beings need to know their role. We can't really speak to reality in any context other than experience.
Well, yeah, they're imaginative ideas that are produced by the self, rather than experienced in an external world.
Hallucination is a state of mind where an individual has an inaccurate representation of reality in their mind.
This is true.
Great stuff. See you guys later.
See ya.